Right. Let me see if the audio is working. We always have our wonderful audio issues. All right, good. So I'm gonna try to keep this brief. I was actually asleep for um I think maybe 9 to 4, 5, like not five, but close to five. And that was what ended up being the reason for why the stream is so late in comparison with most days. But because I don't have a wide variety of people here, I can speak at a somewhat louder than usual volume, so it's all good. Obviously, today's Father's Day, and I wanted to kind of highlight something that I don't really talk about that much because when the chick stuff has been brought up on here before, it's always been framed, I think, by most people, most guys who have this issue, as the central goal being to find someone that you like and you can be with for some long, continuous amount of time. And I guess as I got more and more slighted and just sort of, let me say a little bit to this man that decided to disappear for such a long time, Envoy. But when I got more and more slighted by my female contemporary, for lack of a more wanting term, I really gave up on the position that you're actually going to find one of them that is not annoying half the time and aggravating the other. Like I just accepted that was a thing where there were some that weren't that way, but too small pickings to get that. Now, the one thing I didn't accept, and one thing that actually pissed me off more was the was parenthood. The denial of that because you can't find a partner. And the reason that pissed me off so much is because I look at a lot of people, right, that I just objectively don't think are good or, people that are 30, 40, different various ages. I don't think are good. I don't think are, you know, from a physical standpoint that attractive. I don't think really offer anything. And they'll still have children. They'll still have had someone that screwed them. And so when I see that, and I think about my own low opinion of that person and the low opinion of other people of that person, I just don't objectively get how you can have really anybody who, if they want to, let's say, become a parent, they can't. And I've had some people say, this is something to not think about. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, as I've said before, I'm not one of these people who thinks they have 10, 20, 30, 40 years to do stuff. So I tend to attempt things as soon as I can, which was the point of even mentioning that in the first place. Um, and when you oftentimes talk to different chicks that you have any kind of serious attraction to, that you actually would see yourself attempting to, have some continuous communication or otherwise entertain the thought of being with. You ask this person that stuff up front because you're not trying to be some dishonest character with some ulterior motive that is only known to you. And I really hate that because when I talk to a lot of people that just kind of, you meet on these different social media websites, they all have a different agenda. Some of them want to speak to you for a little bit, some of them want to speak to you for a long time, some of them want to just, not I like, it's a lot of it's just being two-faced. Like the person who told me, yeah, I want to have a some continuous interaction with you, but then I can't even watch this video, and I'm gonna get mad when you hold me to my word that I was originally going to watch it. Just stuff like that, where it's really simple things that people don't even have like the basic ability to fight for. Um, but we're derailing off topic. Admittedly, I just wanted to kind of get that out there. So one of the common elements that people bring up is how we have. Let me read Envoy's comment. Been busy, glad to see this type of video given to today's special occasion. It's a stream. It's not a video. I guess it's a video after it's finished, but whatever. I just felt bad because I wasn't gonna like have the whole day go by without me saying anything about it. Um, the other thing is that a lot of times people call themselves self-made, and they try to say that they are who they are by their own creation. I think a lot of that has to do with the actual reality of that who that person is more related to the types of people that were around them, like their parental guardians, or just if it's not the parents and some father-like figure, or some other person. And a lot of times they don't give credit to that person as part of an attempt to, maybe hide some kind of frustration they have with what happened. Um, but it's easy to state this because oftentimes people will say that if when they're upset or when they're trying to like figure out why someone is the way they are, they try to look into that person's background and past and see who was around them. And I said, look, it's so much of what we do is tied to what someone else told us to do that we occasionally do genuinely forget about it. Like um, one of my trends that I do, which is like being dressed when I wake up and stuff. That only started, or that all traces back to a relative who like used to get upset that I would walk around with no shoes on. So I would just have all my stuff on just because I didn't feel like hearing that person say anything again. And you can say that's an extreme, to have this person say, I want you to do this, and then you just go the whole 9 yards. But I looked at it like this. It was me killing two birds with one stone because I generally rather prefer to, kind of like be ready for if something happens because just anything could happen at any point. And I sort of don't want to, like I don't want to walk around barefoot like that person said. So it's honoring that what that person stated while also, um, you know, doing your own thing, like your own little spin on it, basically. But yeah, we actually have a person who last year had tried to, when they were defending the chick stuff and like the fact that you have all these different, people that go out and do all these different, just commit crimes, get caught for it, yada yada yada. They tried to like say, oh, it's the system and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, look, man, do I believe that there are indiscriminate, unfair practices in the judicial system and very of obviously, but unfortunately, and this is something that I'm just going to say again because I usually don't even talk about this. There is no law that requires a woman to spread her legs to a man who cannot provide for her, cannot provide for a potential child they might have, who, has a rap sheet, has criminal ties. Like, just, I'm sorry, there's no bill that makes them do that, forces them to do that. And, that's not meant to be some indictment on everyone who's ever been to prison, because I know a lot of people who, have offenses and don't, they've actually reformed. I'm just saying that they try to make this like invisible ghost to kind of push away at the fact that unfortunately a lot of these crappy parents that exist would only exist as parents because some other adult person or person around the same age, whatever, decided, hey, let me get my fix on with you for a few hours or whatever amount of time it took to spawn the egg, and that's how they got whoever the child is gets stuck with the types of parents that they do. It's a two-way street where the mother picks the father and the father picks the mother. So it is what it is. But unfortunately, people like to pretend as if you know it's just one way. I'm like, look, I for example wanted to have a kid, but as someone who can't even get a date, for the most part, that's shot. And I don't come on here and try to pretend like that doesn't piss me off, or I don't think a lot of these chicks are dumb for doing that. I just say this is how it is. As part of the realization that because it's a two-way street, I could be as prepared as hell for all they know. But if they don't decide to try, then that never comes out of it. Um, would you consider adoption? Yeah, that's actually the most likely thing I'm gonna have to do because I don't sit around here thinking, oh, maybe next. I've actually, if you remember, Envoy, I've had people come on my chat room and in the comment section saying, oh, uh, you know, just wait this year and that year and this year and that year and this year and that year and this year. Man, I had this broad last back in October. Sit down with me for like 2 or 3 hours on the phone, like for whatever reason, trying to defend all these chicks she's never met before. And I said, look, you're not going to erase 7 years of me talking to these people and then eventually getting sick and just getting, stopping of speaking to them altogether in a phone call, especially when you don't even know most of the interactions anyway. Man, people really overestimate the power of their words and like the effect they have on me. Like if I've had people who know me try to push back on stuff I do, why would someone over the computer be any more impactful? Now, if you make a suggestion and say, "Hey, I think this," I can get behind that. If you're telling me, "Oh, you're stupid," because no, I understand that's frustrating, but I do hope you find. Sometimes I guess it's not meant to be. You know, maybe the universe is setting things up. Who knows? Well, I'm actually of the opinion, Envoy, that let's pretend I had some channel that was like actually really big, or if I was known to be financially, like higher than most people. If that happens, and let's say those things were in place, right? I'm very confident I would get approached. The problem is I'm not. I'm going to be even less interested because I don't like the idea of the man that does all this stuff. And we've had this conversation before on different streams. I don't like the idea that the man does all this stuff, breaks his butt to go and get the various cash and just the fame, stature, and society, yada yada yada. And then some random broad is like, I find that attractive, and decides to go and talk to him. Uh, if all men were more successful, they would be more interested in women. Yeah, but here's my thing. I don't. That's my point. That if I were more successful or known to be more successful, I still wouldn't be. I would be even less interested because I don't trust, and I've said this before, I don't trust most of these people, whether they're male or female. So to have someone attempt to talk to me after I'm in this example, a more known person is just going to make me all the more susceptible to telling them to go piss off. It's like when and I've mentioned this person before. It's like when this guy went on this stream and he was getting told about how he's in his 30s, needs to try again. He's too young and all the. He said that because the guy was talking about if you had more money or whatever, which I don't know how he would even know how much he has to begin with. That he would be more successful. And he said I could win $150 million. I'd probably hate them more because I hit figure. Oh, now you want to get with me? No, if I wasn't good enough for you and I have minimum wage, I'm not good enough now. That's my mentality that, if I'm not good enough as I am now, then I will never be good enough because I feel like I am the same person, just with a different circumstance that is more visible to these people. Someone just coming along when when the ride is good. Yeah, that pisses me off. I don't like that. You know, you gotta understand. I really like loyalty. And I think that, and this is what kills me, man. The way it's just people trying to come along when they think they have some kind of money train is when they do that, when they completely ignore you as a collective, right? When when they think you don't have anything, you don't show off anything or whatever. And then when you show stuff off or appear to be, in some higher stature, here they come. They start putting on these tight clothing and bunch of makeup and smiling. It's like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. It's you guys are walking scams because you're pretending to be people who are concerned about me, but you're concerned about yourself and whatever asset you think you can expunge from me. It's not going to work. But seriously, like what I think is really crazy is there are a lot of inner city women that get with guys who are not doing any of that stuff. That's like it's this weird kind of dichotomy where it's like maybe 60 or 70% of the like modern ones I think are probably that way, and then the other like 30% are like just trying to like be with whoever, which I think that 30% might be like maybe 5 or 10 who, let's see, what also needs to be said is how much that's pushed in society. It doesn't matter because I realize the media is ridiculous, but the media does capitulate to the part of the woman's lust. Yeah, that's why I said it's a feminist society and you ain't in it. Dude, my life would have been, as far as the chick stuff is concerned, or just dating, it would have been 99% easier if I had a vagina. And people get upset when I say that, but it's true. Like if I got on here and I said I'm having trouble getting someone in person, I would have 80 dudes in the comment section You could literally like make it to where all I have is a pair of breasts and like some long hair, and I'd have loads and loads of guys in the comment section going, "Well, I'll talk to you," and they're doing that not because I'm so desirable. Let's remember, let's keep that in comparison. It's because they themselves are starved of any attention from their the opposite sex in their day to day life. That's why they come on here. That's why I came on here. So I realized it was a scam, and all of them were just there to try to trick you into thinking they care about you, and then throw you out like an empty potato chip bag after the fact. If you had a bag, you would just have to wear and you would be swimming in donations. Give that you're a decently attractive. Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, man, the people that get all this male attention, I don't think she's attractive at all. Like, okay, forget how they look, right? But like, you hear them speak, you hear what they're talking about. Who cares? Like, ugh. But those are the people who get to pick the fathers. Like, that's what's so scary. Because like when I think of the fact that the people who bring life into this world or basically get the option to bring life into the world. Oh, it's his birthday. How you doing, Cortez? I hope you have a good birthday. But the people who get to bring life into this world, the fact that the people who get to make that decision are only qualified because of what's in between their legs, and like no kind of mental check, or like, again, you have to go through a test to be in the military to get a car, but to have a kid, you can just do whatever you want. You could, like, all you have to do is just open your legs. Like, that's crazy to me, and that really is like like the implications of that. If man, people don't get how creepy some stuff is until it's just stated. Like the idea, whatever. We've been over this before. Let's see, AJ, I know, but 99.9. Look at Sniper, who had a whole makeup and made thousands of dollars. Oh, I've never heard of that person. Well, I told you before, there's a woman on this website who does, like, we don't know what she looks like, but she does this stripper voice where she talks like this and tries to get you excited, and it gets all these people to watch. And I'm like, for all we know, that could be a guy with a voice changer. And you guys are getting off to that, getting all excited and smiling. It's a very gray man talking about uh, when it comes to bringing life into this world. It's a very controversial topic. Well, I said before, I'm pro-choice, even though, again, I'm not someone who screws without condoms. I'm also not someone who screws people I wouldn't want to have children with. So that's kind of the reason why I'm the way I am. I just, I don't like. Again, people think that whatever. You get my point. Pro-choice, but as far as my own practices, I would not uh, abort in any option or alternative. But that's only because my options are set up by me to be better than a lot of other people's. And in recognizing that, I try not to, you know, judge the circumstances of people I don't know unless I know what the circumstance is. Like when I came on here and was talking about that chick that didn't have a dollar in her pocket, that got with the equally broke dude, and they were together for years. So you would, and had no children, so you would think they were smart. And then, back in, I think it was like February, we found out that the chick was not. Like those are dumb people. And like there's no getting around that. They're stupid, because why the hell would two broke people who can barely afford stuff on their own decide it's a good idea to put a third person in that circumstance who's going to need, Jesus Christ, a whole set of stuff on their own? But no one's convincing me that makes any sense. No one's convinced me that person is doing something that's good. Those people, rather, and that's just my position. Like this broad, she could have gotten with someone who actually had something. And if you say they're in love, I say, well, hell, if they're in love, I'm fine with that, but keep your legs closed until you have some money. And what's so scary, Mr. Hines, I should just call you the third. What's so disturbing is that they actually have an entire like a history. They were together since I think I was in maybe the latter years of high school, so like 4 or 5 years. And by the way, another thing that's really funny is I actually spoke to the chick that's part of this couple, this couple of idiots. But I spoke to her about the chick thing back when I was before I was talking about it with some regularity on YouTube, and I had asked her, um, I think about what happened with her and this guy, and she said to me ahead of that, you have to work to get with the woman and blah blah blah, blah all that usual, let's turn getting a relationship into a Rocky movie crap. But then I asked, how did you meet this how did you and this man end up together? And she goes, oh, what if the team wait, was it the no, 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 not no, 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 not her at all. No, she's water under the bridge. But this is someone that lives in this state. But I was saying, how did you and this man get together? And she tells me that he just came up, took her in some little stupid room and said, "Oh, I like you," in some surprise background area. And I'm like, well, hell, your own example doesn't even match the crap you're telling somebody else to do. You're gonna say it takes all this work to impress the opposite sex, but then this dude just came up and said, "I like you," and that was enough for you to start some years long relationship with them. Like, I'm the only one that's like, are you serious? That's just me in my own little bubble, thinking that this is dumb. I'm solo in defining this as as not being intelligent. Only good man. Well, like I said, I have no problem with, let's say, getting any of this stuff. I just don't like, again, people tell you to do all this work on yourself crap, like have more money, have more all this other stuff. But if I'm looking at chicks that don't do that too, or that expect to be taken care of, I'm gonna tell them to get the hell out of here, because I just don't have interest in doing that. I'd be more likely to take care of my friend who at least goes to school and goes to work himself than any of these broads. Hell, at least he was there from the start. I didn't have to own 3 cars to get him to talk to me. That's their test. They have different tests for different men. Goodbye quality men will have to go through hoops. High caliber men don't. Oh, well, that relationship is really stupid, and I think both of the people involved are really dumb. Just gonna come out and say it. I'm not here to make how that one song go. I'm not here to make pretenses. I'm not trying to pretend as if these people are smart or make them look good or sound like they have any redeeming qualities at all. They one of them, I think both of them do, but they're too stupid to capitalize on it. Like, I will never get over, and if I share some of the stuff about this person, you will probably think this is one of the dumbest people born in the at least in the 20th century, in the latter half of that period. They've done some really stupid things, man. Holy hell. Have to pay to some men just have to show up. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, that's why I said they're dumb. I gotta say it for me, Cortez. I know that they are. But like I said, that the guy has nothing, the woman has nothing, um, and they both work with regularity, but they spend their stuff all the time. Who is this? Oh, I think I've seen this person before with the Japanese name. Yeah, he's another one of those that disappeared and then decides to make a reappearance. I got to roll out the red carpet and play the some victory music or whatever, because it's such a rare occurrence to see him in a stream. But the story he was conveying is that he was raised by a single mother and then had a bunch of siblings who, like him, as he, again by his own admission, I'm not saying this about him, have mental illnesses, and we're not taught about, at least with his case, I don't know if all the siblings were guys, but we're not taught about being men or anything like that. So this is not me attacking him, right? It's what he wrote. You can see it right there. Cortez, women's bodies are always for sale. Different names, of course. Some buy through prostitution, pornography, status, or even sometimes, sadly, through marriage. Yeah, they're all trying to like. I that's my point. That I don't see how they can go around talking about this independent thing when they're all trying to. When it seems like a large portion of them is trying to capitalize off of somebody else. Well, I'm glad you're making yourself from experience. Like I said, I think the internet is really helpful when it's used like, in an actual non-evil way to just learn stuff, get some recommendations on things. Um, when it's that e-drama stuff, I just tune out. Especially because it's like, what does this do? Like, what, do you feel better because you went back and forth calling somebody dumb and stupid? Like, I could see if you do it like I do it, where you're talking about a circumstance and using it as an example, but it's literally, oh, I saw this person's video. They are very dumb, and then you want the other person to respond, and it's just I don't get it, man. A large portion equals 10%. Wait, what? 101%? Like I said, I hate. It's hard for me to admit it because how low it really does seem. But there is some portion that does not act the way that these other ones do. If they all acted the same way, nobody would be born or anything at this point. So I have to give credit to that teeny tiny group that doesn't act this way. And I'm going to say another thing that it will not that will get me browbeat over and over again. I genuinely believe that one of the biggest lies that people get told, just like on any kind of level, is that people that are not related to them, that they go out and approach and try to talk to and interact with, care about them at all. Like I'm of the belief that I could talk to 200 chicks for, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, some long period of time, some decent period of time, like a half a year or whatever, and they would not care about me at all. They would pretend and try to make it seem like they did because they would still want to just like talk to someone because they get bored, but they would not actually care about. Oh man, this person's really nice to me, and they want to get in a relationship with someone, and I don't have any problems with them, so maybe I should do it. None of that would never even go through their heads because as people have to understand, and people don't like to admit this, when you wake up, when you go to sleep, the main person whose comfort you are thinking about is yourself. So I could get on here and elicit sympathy from thousands of chicks, but there when it comes to if someone's actually going to make the move to try and speak or anything, it's always going to be them saying, do I want this versus does he want it? He obviously wants it, but if they don't want it, oh, there we go. No chance. It's gonna be like the Thanos snap. That whole hope and dream just fades away in the dust. I steer away from. I'll run into my mate through serenity, serendipity. I think it is. I'm sub to a few out of thousands of subs. Let's see. Literally, for them to say that they're an independent. I wish the chat was like this when I did a stream about anything else. That's another minor gripe that I have where it's like you try to talk about something else and people just completely disappear, and if they're there, they just want to sit back and not type anything. Like James, that's the prime suspect. He's the king of typing nothing. I'm starting to think he has like a secret rule where he only will type maybe a paragraph a day online, and then when he's out of his words, he just will sit back and not say anything. He'll be there, but he just won't say anything. Would you rather speak than type? That's why I do videos as opposed to writing a little novel in my community tab because I know nobody's going to read that. I put up a community tab one time about this review of the super manga, and I think only maybe like 3 people thumbed up that. It's like, oh my god, I'm never using this crap again. That's just like when I was on Tinder for like I think 2 weeks, and I swiped left, not left, right. I'm pretty sure that's the correct one. Whichever one was the correct one, I swiped that on maybe like 20, 30 different chicks. I was like, oh man, there's no way that every single one of them is gonna just like completely ignore that they were, swiped on. And that's exactly what they did. So I said, all right, well, if they're not gonna swipe right on me, I'm gonna swipe off this site. Logged out, never went back on there again. Hey man, all these dating websites are useless. All these different broads you talk to with the hope that they're gonna like eventually like you are useless. And I've admitted purposely I'll sabotage on intention some of these relationships with them after they friend zone because I'm like, there's no point in this. So let's go out with a bang. Let me call you what I actually think you are after having to put up with you talk to me any kind of way for some continuous time. But look, the point of bringing up the thing with the woman who's was having this kid with this man is that when you pick a parent, right, as with the female equivalent, where they get to pick who they want to screw and they get a bunch of options because guys are all over them on social media in real life, you effectively predetermine a good chunk of the early years, if not the entire life of your kid. Because really think about it, when do you ever just stop thinking about who your parent is, whether you know them or don't know them? Like when do you, as an adult who you know came from 2 people like everybody else, just say, yeah, my parent is not relevant or not significant? So when I mentioned this woman, I said, look, I'm upset not because 2 people are in love or whatever. I'm pissed because this idiot who doesn't have a dollar in their pocket is going to have a kid with another guy, with someone else who's just as equally impoverished. And I know they are because I saw their account. And I know that this person likes to go and buy a bunch of clothes, everything they get. So just I'm not I talk about not wanting to judge other circumstances, but I know this person's circumstance, and they're an idiot. But because they have vagina, they get to predetermine a new life. How fair is that? Didn't plan at all. Didn't try to get anything together. Nope. And I had someone saying maybe they'll change. No, no, no. I know this person. That person wouldn't change when they were kicked out of their house. They wouldn't change if they were. I guarantee you, they would rather sit on a lawn filled with a bunch of clothes than just stop buying all that stuff so they can afford to take care of their kid. Because that's how stupid they are, and that's how stupid a lot of people are. Which is why, I just go out and say I'm not impressed, and I prefer not to speak with a large portion of individuals unless it's a project or some like higher scheme, right? Like let's say, you go to a fundraiser and people are there to fundraise for, I don't know, homeless children or some hospital, something that actually does good as a collective, right? Unless it's that, don't entertain them because just there's no point. Like every time you have a large group of people, it seems like there's always chaos. That's why that Vegas shooting happened People over here sitting, trying to enjoy themselves, having a conference. This dude shoots up, and that wouldn't have happened if someone was sitting at their house with only one or two people. Because the whole point of him going up there and going, I'm going to go and destroy these lives, is because he saw all these people together who were so caught up in what they were doing that they didn't see this idiot get up and start firing down on them. It's the same reason the Pulse nightclub shooting happened. A bunch of people get together, some of whom are attempting to have a good time, some are just, dancing around, whatever. And, because it's a large group, the crazy, deranged individual goes and does all this stuff because he knows they're too caught up in their surrounding. So, that's why I prefer not to be in these large gatherings. I prefer to just stay away. Like I just really think at their core, a lot of modern people, ones who are below the age of 30 and 40, all they do is cause misery and destruction with no care or concern for anyone but themselves. And I've said before, there's a lot of similarity in my own outlook. Like I have admitted fully that my biggest priority is me. And the reason for that is because if I'm not the one who thinks of myself as the highest thing, who the hell else is going to? So, when I go around and I decide to put on some clothes, I don't care if some stupid broad that, would never even speak to me anyway, doesn't care or doesn't like it, because she's not me. And I'm sorry, but I can't objectively feel bad about that position when we live in a culture of people who are all that same way. Only, again, the only difference is that while I have that same position, I don't go out and mess with any of these people. I leave people alone because I've been stabbed in the back by enough of them to know that they're just not worth my time, including most of these chicks. I think one of them messaged me late last year. I said, "Look, you're welcome to send me stuff, but what do you want?" Like again, that part of my life where I wanted to talk to some broad for 3 or 4 months and have them, beat around the bush as to whether or not they wanted to go any further. That's over. Just come and state what you feel. Because again, when men like a woman, they go, "Hey, I think you're hot. Let's go on a date." They don't go, "Let me talk to you for 900 days, and then at some point I may possibly form romantic interest in." No, screw that. No one has time for that. So let's see. Man of great morals. I don't know about that. I just don't care anymore. Like about these interactions. When you think of something as being bad and you stay away from it, I think that's when people are doing something right. So just like if I said, I think if I get drink, I'll get addicted and become an alcoholic. Then I'm not going to drink. It's not about being great or wonderful or anything. It's just if you think something is horrible or evil or terrible, stay away from it. Don't do it. Don't participate. Because in your head, if you think it's wrong, you will genuinely be afraid of it. I am very uncomfortable and not relaxed when it comes to talking to a bunch of people I've never seen before because I don't trust them because I have no reason to. As someone that's gone out in the past and tried to speak to them and had, lies made about me, and if that's not the case, they abruptly cut it off. I don't care anymore to give them that rope to hang me with. So uh, I think we've basically touched on the main topic here, which is that when people are growing up or whatever, they need to have some kind of father-like figure involved. Um, that there are circumstances that person cannot control, obviously, but when that happens, you need to look at the people who are directly involved versus systems and stuff that's outlining. Because, like I said, there's no bill or law that requires a woman to open her legs to some questionable character. And look, just enjoy if your father's around, enjoy him or anyone else that you consider to have that same kind of impact. Or hell, just call up a friend. You know, like I've encouraged for a very long time to just speak to people who actually act like you're a human being. I grew up very rebellious. Uh, we get what I'm saying. And I just think that it's counterproductive to talk to individuals who are not concerned about you, which is why I don't. So I think we're pretty much done here. Again, I didn't want the stream to be this late, but I was asleep for most of the day because I was up all night doing some stuff. So we'll do one tomorrow, and that'll probably be news related. I can expect two people in here, maybe one. So have a good day and enjoy yourself. See you later, Envoy, and all the other characters.